Hello there, Middle-earth fans. I am here with an army review that has been long requested in Rivendell. So Rivendell is a great army. It can be used in a lot of different variants, and I'll talk about those in probably the third section of this video. So I'm going to try and keep these short. I'm going to split the heroes up into at least two sections because there's 11 of them. I'm going to talk about the big heroes first, and then some of the smaller ones, the medium tiers, and I'll probably lump in a couple of the smaller ones with the warrior class since there's only two warrior profiles. So let's go ahead and jump in with the High King of the Elves himself, Gil-Galad. So Gil-Galad is fight 9. He is one of the highest fight values in the game, and it's awesome when you see that. He has strength 4, defense 7, 3 attack 3, and courage 7. So he's not really going to fail a courage check. The odds are highly against the fact that he's going to be failing courage checks. So we'll say that he is almost fearless with the fact that courage 7 is so good. 3 might, 3 will, only 1 fate, which makes sense since he did die on the slopes of Mount Doom fighting against Sauron. So he does have a special caveat. If your force contains Gil-Galad and either Arwen, Elladan, and Elrohir, Lindir, or Bilbo, then it will automatically lose its army bonus. Additionally, the force will automatically be impossible allies with every other army list, regardless of what the alliance would normally be. So those that were listed there are, Arwen obviously and the Elven twins. So that's Elrond's kids, Lindir or Bilbo, which makes sense because Lindir is not seen until the Third Age, and Bilbo also not until the Third Age. So they're kind of keeping it thematic there with that little caveat at the end. So his war gear includes heavy armor and Aglos. And Aglos is an elven-made spear, and it gives him +1 to wound when making strikes. So that's not dependent on him charging like a war spear or a lance. He just gets +1 to wound when making strikes, and that's really good because of the fact that one thing that elven heroes lack is they lack that +1 to wound a lot of times due to the fact that they can't take lances. So him being able to get that +1 even if he doesn't charge is really great. And it is an elven made spear, so if you're fighting with it, which you obviously will be since that's his only weapon in his profile, you're going to be winning roll-offs on 3 up. So he has a good number of heroic actions. He has Resolve, Strike, Strength, Defense, and Challenge. He is a hero of legend, so he's only going to be able to challenge other heroes of legend. I don't really see him needing to strike all that much, although I do expect that he will be struck against. Really, if you strike, you're automatically going to be fight 10. So the only time I think you really need to worry about that is if you're fighting a fight value 6 or fight value 7 hero that's striking, because then they have a 50% chance or better of getting to that fight 10 and out fighting you. I would say that if you're fighting a fight value 5 or lower hero and they strike, I would not do it myself. That's a little tactic. We're usually talking pro tactics at the end, but I wouldn't do it because a fight 5, he's got a 50% chance of tying, and then a 33% chance of beating. So I'll take that 50% chance of tying, whereas then I have the Elven Made Spear, Aglos, in order to win on a 3-up roll-off. And then he's also got a 50% chance of failing. So, not a bad way to maybe save your might points, because that is one thing that you're going to notice with Rivendell is you're going to be might strapped due to the fact that your heroes are either A, huge, expensive heroes like Gil-Galad, and they bring you those 3 points of might, or they're these lower, smaller tier heroes that don't bring a lot of points of might, and they also don't let you lead a lot of troops. So moving on, he has the option to take a horse and a shield, so that's really good. I definitely always recommend a shield. Getting him to defense 8 means that strength 4 guys are, strength 3 guys are going to be winning him on 6s by 4s, and strength 5 now no longer is really a threat. I know that's kind of crazy to say, but there are a lot of strength 5 stuff out there. I mean, I just played with a few this weekend. Dwarves have a lot of it. Isengard, their heroes have a lot of, all their heroes are strength 5. So there is some strength 5 out there to worry about. Plus, it makes it so that things that get strength bonuses like Rohan when charging, it just makes it harder for them to Going from needing, a strength 3 on defense 7, it's 6s, but strength 8 on defense. I'm sorry, strength 3 on defense 8 is 6s by 4. So even getting bounced up, you're just making it a little bit harder. So always take a shield. Then he has a special rule. If you include Gil-Galad, then you can upgrade any number of high elf warriors in his warband to Kingsguard for a point, and they become fight value 6 with a shoot value 3+. So the shoot value remains the same, but they become fight 6, which is crazy because now you're equal fight value to Aragorn. So that's crazy out there. Definitely something where it may be worth looking at a pure Rivendell list. However, if you start allying, a lot of their allies also have expensive heroes, and we'll talk about that later, but not a bad idea to maybe slip, a handful, 4, 5 at the very most. I mean, you build a list and you got 6 points extra and there's no way to give guys, there's no real point to throw a spear or a shield on a guy. Spend those 6 points and upgrade a few guys to fight value 6. It's definitely going to pay off for you in the long term. So finally, he has Blood and Glory, Terror, and Woodland Creature. Can't remember off the top of my head, but I believe Blood and Glory is the one where you get to reroll all failed wounds. Strike that note. Blood and Glory is if he kills an enemy hero, he gets back a point of might. So not a bad way to help mitigate the fact that, like I said, you're not going to have a lot of might in this army. Really nice bonus there. We already know what Terror does, and Woodland Creature is also nice to have. He also has High King of the Elves. He has a 12-inch standfast rather than 6, and friendly elf heroes, they get to benefit from his standfast. He also has Lord of the West, which is he can reroll a d6 in the dual roll, as well as a d6 when making wounds. So pretty good there. So he gets the ability of +1 to wound because he's fighting with Iglos, and then he gets a reroll to wound, and he gets a reroll in the dual roll. That is cumulative with a banner. So if you go ahead and do a banner, you can also banner another one. So pretty cool there. All right, let's go on. We're going to talk about a couple more guys. We're already in that 7-minute realm, which is crazy for one profile, but there's a lot in these Elven hero profiles. So next we have Elrond, Master of Rivendell, also hero legend, fight 6, strength 4, defense 5, 3 might, 3 will. 3 might, 3. All right, my bad. Strength 4, defense 5, 3 attacks, 3 wounds, courage 7, 3 might, 3 will, 3 fate. There we go. I'm getting confused there. All right. So, if your army contains Elrond, then Rivendell Knights do not count towards your bow limit. So, nice way to get a few extra bows in there. However, Rivendell Knights are the most expensive non-hero troop you can take of the 2 troops. His war gear includes, and I'm going to butcher this, so go ahead and just yaff at me now, Hadafang and Vilya. So Hadafang is his sword. It's an elven-made hand-and-a-half sword. So again, elven-made weapon. And he gets a +1 to wound when striking against spirit models. So pretty good. We know that Vilya is one of the 3 elven rings, and he gets to reroll his fate points because of it. His heroic actions include Resolve, Channeling, Strike, and Defense. So no challenge, but that's okay. He is more of a caster. He's kind of he's that middle of the road like I was talking about. He's good in combat. Nothing to laugh at with fight 6, strength 4. A hand-and-a-half weapon that also is elven made and can do +1 to spirits because you see a lot of wraiths and stuff. But yeah, he gets to reroll his fate, and then he has strike and defense, so that's good too. But then channeling, he's got a few spells, but we'll get to those. He can be upgraded with heavy armor and a horse, which is good because it doesn't have armor in his profile, so upgrading him with heavy armor means he's going to go from defense 5 to defense 7. And of course, you want your heroes mounted on a horse so that they can get more killing power. He has Terror and Woodland Creature, and then Foresight of the Eldar. Before the game begins, roll a d6 and make note of the result. These are Elrond's foresight points for the battle. During the priority phase, after the dice has been rolled, you can choose to expend these foresight points to alter your dice roll up or down to a maximum of 6 or a minimum of 1. And each number you go up or down, you detract 1 foresight point. So pretty self-explanatory, and I know a lot of veteran players are going, yep, this is awesome, but for those who aren't exactly sure what this means, basically roll a d6, take note of the result. We'll use for this situation a 4. I rolled a 4. That means throughout the course of the game, I can modify my priority roll up or down up to a total of 4 times. So for example, if I did not have priority the turn before and my opponent did, and my opponent rolls a 4 and I roll a 3, I may use one of those 4 points to make it a 4, therefore winning priority due to the fact that my opponent had it last turn. So there's a little bit of double rule there in for you as well. The fact that if you lost priority last turn and it's a tie roll for priority this turn, you get priority, plus the ability to use your foresight points. So hopefully that clears some things up and makes some sense. Also, he has the Lore of the Rest like Gil-Galad did. So he's going to be re-rolling 1 dual roll and 1 to wound roll. And then he has a couple spells. He has Wrath of Brunion on a 4-up and Renew on a 3+. And so for those who don't know what Renew does, that allows you to regain a wound lost earlier in the duel. Battle, combat, whatever, game. If you channel that, then you get D3. So I have seen that used very well with Radagast, where he channeled it on a Great Eagle that was down to 1 wound and got it back up to 3. So nothing to laugh at there. Elrond, another one of those great heroes, high point elf heroes, but definitely one that you should include, in my opinion, if you're thinking about building a Rivendell list. Usually you get one of the two. You get Elrond or you get Gil-Galad, so it all depends on how you're building and what you want to use them for. Moving on, we have Glorfindel, Lord of the West. He is a hero of valor. Fight value 7, strength 4, defense 5, 3 attack, 3 wounds, courage 7, 3 might, 3 will, 3 fate. So similar stat line to Elrond in the fact that he's got all the same 3s and 7s and strength and defense, but he is 1 point better in the fight value. The other thing to note is that now all 3 of these heroes are courage 7, so it's very, very, very unlikely that they will be failing a courage check, but in the crazy case that they do, they still have 3 points of will, and the only one who really needs to worry about that is Elrond, since he does have the ability to cast. So, war gear for Glorfindel is Elven Made Hand and a half weapon. So there you go again. You're going to be getting that Elven Made weapon, which is great. He has Resolve, Strike, Strength, and Challenge. So the only difference between him and Elrond is that he now has Challenge over Channeling, which makes sense because we know that Glorfindel from the lore went toe-to-toe with a Balrog and slew him in single combat. So he is not afraid to challenge anything. And being a hero of valor means he's got a vast amount of enemy or other models out there, I should say. It's not just enemy models, because you can fight good on good, that he can challenge with that. So his options are Armor Gondolin and Asphaleth. So Armor Gondolin is heavy armor, and while he is wearing it, he cannot be targeted by brutal power attacks from monsters. Very good. Again, that goes into the lore where he fought the Balrog. So he's not getting hurled, he's not getting rended, he's not getting barged. He's going to go fight a troll, and he's going to be like, come at me, bro, you can't throw me around. Plus, it is heavy armor, and he has no armor in his war gear profile, just like Elrond, so he will go to defense 7. Asphaleth is a horse with 12-inch movement rather than 10, and he also gains fleet foot. So he's going to be moving through woodland terrain like regular. So no quarter movement for him, really good. And this is shown because he has Expert Rider, Horse Lord, so he's not only potentially getting knocked off of Asphaleth, he's going to get the fact to re-roll his Throne Rider roll, and he's Horse Lord, so if he wants to try and protect Asphaleth, he can go ahead and spend his fate. Also has Terra, Woodland Creature, again with Lord of the West, so he's getting that free re-roll in the dual roll and free re-roll in the wounding roll. Also, he has Unbending Resolve, so Glorfindel always counts as having the Fortified Spirit magical power cast on him. This is always in effect even if his will is reduced to 0. This is amazing. Simply put, basically he gets 2 extra dice roll to resist per turn when it comes to resisting magical powers. So in essence, he has quote-unquote 5 will per turn when his natural will are untapped. So great way for him to potentially go up against another caster, or a caster in general, because he's not a caster, my apologies, and stand toe-to-toe and be like, Here I am, throw your spells at me, I'm going to resist them, and then I'm going to get you into combat, and I'm going to Lord of West you into death. So, there you go. Those are our big 3 heroes. I'm going to go ahead and stop here because we're at 15 minutes. There are a bunch more, so this might become 4 parts. I was hoping to keep it to 3, but the next few heroes definitely deserve a little bit of talking through, so I want to take my time and get through all of them. But until next time, please take care. Please like, share, subscribe, and I hope you look forward to seeing the next parts of this Rivendell Army Review series.